is Jason, and this is Just Watches. Alright, today we have a watch that was lent to the channel as an example of a high-quality homage to the modern Seiko 62 Moss. This is the Manchester Watchworks 62 Moss Automatic. I wanted to review this watch and then do a comparison video with the Seiko SPB 213 I reviewed last week. As always, we'll be doing specifications, pros, cons, and then if I think this watch is worth the money. However, before we begin, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe, and if you like the contents of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, as far as I know, Manchester Watchworks is no longer in operation, but when it was, this watch retailed for $350. Starting with the case, it's 40 millimeters in diameter, 49 millimeters lug to lug, 13.5 millimeters thick. Part of that is this domed sapphire crystal, and it has a 20 millimeter lug width. The 40 millimeter case diameter is a crowd-pleasing size. However, the lug-to-lug is a touch longer than I like at 49 millimeters. I'm not sure why they went with the longer lugs here, but that's just the design they went with this case. The lugs also don't slope down very much, so you will notice the full lug-to-lug length. That being said, it still wears very comfortably on a strap. The lugs are also pierced for easy strap changes. The finishing is solid with a combination of brushing on the top, a nice transitional high-polished chamfered edge, which returns to brushing on the sides of the case. The watch wears low on the wrist, and it also wears slimmer than its 13.5 millimeter height might suggest. Of course, most of the credit for the case design here should go to Seiko, which inspired the design of this watch. Unfortunately, I don't have the original strap. However, this watch wears great on a Barton Silicon Elite, which is a strap choice I do recommend. Starting at 20 millimeters, it tapers down to 18 millimeters. The top of the strap has a nice texture. There are two keepers and a thick pin and buckle. The second keeper has a tab that locks into the end of the strap for a very secure fit. These straps also feature quick release pins. Overall, they are very comfortable and a surprisingly good value at about $21. The screw-in case back helps provide 200 meters of water resistance and has a really cool design. It's like a relief of a dolphin. This is another nod to the original 1962 Seiko divers that would feature dolphins on their case backs. Even the information is sectored in a similar way to the 60s Seiko divers. You'll also notice these watches are individually numbered. Now, this watch is powered by a movement you actually rarely see. This is the NE15, which is the non-branded Seiko 6R15. So this has a longer power reserve than the NH35s we usually see in micro brands. This is a 21,600 vibration per hour, hacking, hand-winding movement with a 50-hour power reserve and a stated accuracy of -15 to +25 seconds per day. It also features a quick set date. The 7mm screw-down crown is nicely signed with the company logo. The threading action is very smooth and the crown is a great size to operate the watch. The lack of crown guards enhance the vintage look. The double-domed sapphire crystal sits proud of the bezel. It is also treated with an AR coating, which helps with the visibility of the dial. Sapphire and AR coating is something I love to see at this price point. The 120-click unidirectional bezel is quite stiff with a very ratchet-like click. The insert is aluminum but has a very nice, very subtle brushed finish. The numerals are deep and filled with white. The 12 o'clock position has a large pot of lume and everything lines up nicely. Overall, the bezel helps provide a very toolish look to the watch. The dial on this watch is a gorgeous sunburst gray. There is no chapter ring, but each individual minute has a dash at the edge of the dial. 62 Moss and automatic is nicely printed at 12, and water 200 proof and 24 joules is printed at the 6 o'clock position. This is an homage to the original 60s divers from Seiko when they still use the words waterproof. That verbiage evolved into water resistance over time, which is a much milder claim than waterproof, so it's interesting they use the words here. The indices are large and the edges use a fully brushed finish. This is something I haven't seen before and provides an interesting effect. The 12, 6, and 9 indices are slightly larger, which helps with orientation, and the date window at 3 o'clock is nicely framed. The baton style hands are also fully brushed. This in combination with the brushed indices is an interesting design choice. There's nothing flashy about this watch and the overall design makes it seem like a purpose-built tool. I tend to prefer faceted hands, but I think in these cases the flat hands work. The hour and minute hand are loomed, as is the tip of the second hand, which kind of looks like a little marshmallow on the end there. The minute, hour, and second hand lengths were all carefully selected. You'll notice the hour hand terminates at the inner edge of the indices, and the minute hand terminates at the very outer edge of the indices. Finally, the second hand reaches all the way almost to the rehaut. This is very nice attention to detail. The lume here is excellent, as you can see. It's very bright, responsive, and lasts a long time. So here it is on my 6 3/4 inch wrist on the silicone strap. You can see the watch is a pleasing size. The lug to lug is just about as long as I like to go, but the watch wears low and flat along the wrist and is very comfortable. So pros and cons, starting with the pros. Well, the anti-reflected coating on this crystal is excellent, and it really helps show off this really dynamic dial. The length of the hands is perfect, and the lume is very strong, and I love the domed sapphire crystal. As for the cons, the bezel action is a bit stiff, and then the lug-to-lug distance is longer than I would have made it. I'm not sure why they made it long as an homage to a Seiko diver, because Seiko divers usually feature shorter lug-to-lug distances. Finally, I'm not a huge fan of the 62 Moss written at the 12 o'clock position, and I think I would have preferred just to see the company logo there. So is this watch worth the money? Yes, this is quite a package. You're getting all of the desirable specifications you would want at this price point. The finishing is really good, the lume is bright, and the watch is very comfortable. This is an all-business, toolish dive watch, and it's a great homage to the 62 Moss at a much more affordable price. This is the watch I wish Seiko would have released, rather than the $1,000 version they put out instead. So there you have it, the Manchester Watchworks 62 Moss. What do you guys think of this watch? Leave a comment in the comment section below. And as always, if you're enjoying the content of this channel, I invite you to subscribe. And if you like the content of this individual video, please give it a thumbs up. That's all for this time. My name is Jason, and you've been watching Just Watches.